And the next thing is a couple of pictures here. Here's that interior drive-it or dry lock. It's all peeling off the block wall there. It never works. It might be good for a year or two, but it's just kind of a waste of time. Major repairs, we've got to go to helical tiebacks. This is pretty expensive stuff. This is when walls are bowed in, you got horizontal cracks. We're going to drill and anchor your wall back into the soil and put these big plates. There's lots of ways to do it, but this was just a good picture. A house over in Kirkwood that I looked at last week. That's this picture here. And some strong men or vertical soldier beams. Thank you. These were aluminum, but they can be steel pipe, they can be steel columns, all kinds of things. But the key is that they're locked in at the top and they're locked into the concrete at the bottom. This happened to be an apartment complex I looked at over in Kansas City. Nice graffiti there in the basement and everything. Switching from foundations now. Those are the big expensive things generally, is the foundation repairs. Now we get into things, plumbing systems. A lot of times in these old houses down the city, you're going to have cast iron. If it's over 40 years old, I guarantee you it's starting to pit, it's starting to crack, it's going to leak, it's going to cause your buyers problems. That's a liability for you. As a builder, as a rehabber, they're going to come back and yell at you. This person here painted the cast iron. In a lot of cities, you can't do that. They'll make you sandblast that off. They want to see the old original cast iron. It looks pretty, but that paint on that cast iron will last a couple days. But all that sewage is going to come through the pits and the cracks and mess that all up. Cast iron disintegrates in the environment of hydrogen sulfide, H2S gas. It's highly concentrated in the sewer pipes and it eats through them. The cast iron pipes are going to be bad 40 plus years. Then we get into mixed piping. These are definitely in the older houses from the 50s, 60s, 70s. Here's a connection that goes from cast iron to lead. You can see the old plumber, he took that lead and he wrapped it around with his hand to make the connection. Then you see the brass fitting coming down underneath the tub out top. When I look at a house like this, I just know that plumbing's 40 or 50 years old. I don't even have to look at the MLS to know how old the house is. With plumbing systems, protect your checkbook. You can have thousands and thousands, $10,000 worth of plumbing problems. If you're thinking about buying a house, I absolutely recommend get a sewer camera inspection. They're about 175 bucks. It's cheap insurance. Protect your checkbook. You may find that you have a great deal on a house, but once you look at the plumbing, it's one like Ray said, you want to walk away because you might have $15,000, $20,000 worth of repairs. There's also sewer lateral replacement programs out there. Exterior sewer replacement can cost you anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000, and the different cities and counties will pay some of that. So that's important to know. And my picture didn't take on my sewer lateral program sheet, so we'll just skip over that. Most of these programs vary with deductibles and things. It'll still cost you a few $1,000s, but it's not going to be that $15,000 charge that you can get into sometimes. And the programs don't cover all the costs. Electrical systems. I'm just going to focus on one because I see it so much. It's the Federal Pacific and Stablock panels. These have been out there, UL warnings and things for years and years. And if you see these, it's going to scare your buyer's agent. It's going to scare your buyer. Have an electrician check it out and already have a certificate or something that it's been inspected, that it is safe, or replace it because the buyers tend to want to walk when they see these Federal Pacific panels. Some of these panels didn't have main breakers. They're older. They're 40, 50, 60 plus years old. And they can be a safety hazard, but if they're checked out by an electrician and all the repairs are made, I'm okay approving them. I say they're satisfactory and move in as long as an electrician has said that they're okay. But a lot of times these Federal Pacific panels were poorly made. Some insurance companies won't insure the house if you've got a Federal Pacific panel in it. I do know some that will. The era of these panels was the 50s, 60s, 70s. What compounded some of the problem too was in the same era they used aluminum wiring. That created its own problems. The wires worked loose, created shorts and fires and things. But older Federal Pacific panels, like the picture here, they're okay. That's fine equipment. And the old-time electricians like the old fuses. They either work or they don't. They don't have the problems that the old Federal Pacific breakers, that little spring in there not working. The old-time fuse panels are great. They work just fine. Roof replacements, you can't tell how good your roof is from the street. You've got to get up there close and personal. You got to put your nose on that roof, literally. If you got to climb 3 stories and crawl, you got to do it, you know. Get up there and look at that roof. Yes, sir?
Or Pay West.
Or Pay West, yes, thank you. But if there's been hailstorms, you can usually get some money back. It'll help close the deal. Maybe the seller has only got a deductible of $500, but it's $5,000 to replace the roof. He's happy to do that if his insurance company helps. So get out there and look and see how many hail strikes there are. Most insurance companies are 10 or 12 to 16, 18 per 10 by 10 area. And if you've got that, you've got a roof replacement. Simple as that. Here's what I do. I also do roof inspections and things for like Nationwide Insurance. Is Matt Chrismore out here? I work a lot for him. But we go through and we actually count the hail strikes, and the little W is a wind damage, and we take a picture and we show the insurance company that in this case there was 1 wind damaged shingle, and then there was 16 hail strikes within a 10 by 10 area. And they replaced it. No fuss, no muss. Old roofs too can be hail damaged, but they can start to wear. You can see the pitting on the shingles. You can see the fiberglass, like especially right here, starting to show on the side of the shingles. Those shingles are pretty well shot. That roof's got a year or two. You might as well replace it because the buyer's going to tell you, I want that roof replaced. Or it'll kill your deal. HVAC, the seller, you, the rehabber, is responsible for bringing in Laclede to make sure everything is safe. You might as well do that up front. Don't wait until you start to have buyers. Get that out of the way so that they're not waiting. Help your deal move right along. Don't let them have buyer's remorse. Get the deal done. Something else, I always recommend to put in a CO2 detector. When you have 10 and 15, 20-year-old furnaces that you're going to keep in place, you might have a cracked heat exchanger and you just don't know it, and you're blowing CO gas into that house. That detector will tell you immediately. They are really, really sensitive. And make sure that the bigger flue ties in below the smaller water heater usually, because that higher BTU fan and equipment is going to blow those fumes out of the house rather than forcing it back into the house. Just a safety thing. Exterior repairs are all over the place. The big ones that I see, chimney repairs, especially on the 100-year-old houses. Nobody's touched them for 100 years. You might have to rebuild chimneys from the ground up. I've seen a lot of that too. Some of the other things are, another cheap thing to do is to get a chimney sweep, to get up in that old chimney. Look at that thing, see if there's cracks in all the brickwork, get it fixed, get it repaired, and show your buyer a completed chimney sweep inspection, repairs, approved, warranted. That takes that chimney issue off the table. And chimney sweeps I've seen vary all over the place. You get what you pay for. The better sweeps will also estimate the repairs and do the repairs for you. Window replacements is another real big one. 100-year-old houses in St. Louis, you've got the old single pane drafty windows. They rattle in the wind. The buyer ends up spending an exorbitant amount of money on heat and cooling. That's something else that kills the deals so many times, is the old windows. If you can put in replacement windows and it fits in your pro forma, I recommend it. You might get some lead paint in those old windows. Be careful when you're rehabbing, cutting, sanding, scraping. Wear respirators and don't get lead in your lungs just because you're painting windows. And some of those old windows too, I see this a lot. The sash ropes and stuff inside aren't attached. You lift that 40-pound window with that single pane glass. It's not safety glass. And if you drop it, boom, it's coming down. I call them finger smashers. That glass will shatter. You can get your buyer's agent hurt. Guess what? Killed your deal. Roofs. I can't tell you how many times I see beautiful rehabs in the city. Guys have spent $50,000 or $100,000 rehabbing a house, and the kitchens are gorgeous, and the house is gorgeous, and we've got jacuzzi tubs. And I get up on the roof, and all the brick parapets are busted and cracked. The chimneys are busted and cracked. None of the flashings or anything have been repaired. Why would you put that kind of money into a house and not fix the doggone roof, you know? This isn't one that I climbed 3 stories and crawled across, but anyway, this is a very typical one. This roof didn't look bad. I didn't get you my worst pictures. I showed a typical roof, and these are typical cracks over here. Water will just pour into a crack like that and destroy your new drywall, your wiring, and everything you just spent $50,000 or $100,000 doing. Spend 10 grand or 5 grand or whatever it is. Figure it in your pro forma. You gotta fix that roof.